Zariah Mitchell stood at the check-in counter, her heart pounding beneath the surface of an otherwise composed expression. Clutched tightly in her hand was a ticket, adorned with the logo of Tesoro Air, a printed promise of everything she had dreamed of. It wasn't just a trip to New York. It was her invitation to the Global Aviation Summit, a stage she had clawed her way to through perseverance, grit, and brilliance that too many had overlooked. To the world, this might seem like just another flight. But for a girl who grew up in the hardest streets of East Hollow, this wasn't travel, it was triumph. A passage from nights studying by candlelight to mornings building prototype aircraft from salvage parts. This was the culmination of sacrifice, late-night prayers, and a belief that the sky wasn't out of reach. Beside her, Jameer Coleman leaned in with that crooked grin that had kept her going through more than one impossible night. "See," he whispered playfully. "By the time you get up there, you're probably gonna ask to fly the damn plane." She laughed, the sound light and crisp, though her fingers trembled as she slid the ticket across the counter. "If they're smart, they'll let me." But even as she said it, she felt it, that heaviness in the air. The stares. The subtle tightening of brows. The assumptions. It was a familiarity she knew too well. A black girl in worn sneakers and a faded hoodie standing in the first-class check-in line. People didn't need to say the words. She'd heard them in their silence. She adjusted her backpack, a dependable companion across scholarship interviews and university labs. Her hoodie was clean, but aged, her clothes carefully chosen for function, not flair. Her sneakers bore stories in their soles, not trends. She stepped forward and offered a quiet smile to the attendant. "Fly to New York, please." The woman at the counter barely returned the expression. Her name tag read K. Whitman. Her blue eyes flicked up, scanning Zariah's face, her clothes, her skin. There was a pause too long, too deliberate, then a sudden motion. With a swift tear, Whitman ripped the ticket in half. A jagged sound. "Final. Cruel. This ticket's fake," she announced, her voice just loud enough to draw attention. "You don't belong on this flight." Zariah blinked. Her hand was still outstretched. The shredded pieces of her dream fluttered to the counter like confetti after a cruel celebration. For a moment, she couldn't speak. What?" she managed. "It's fake," the woman repeated, crossing her arms. "You people don't usually fly business class." There it was. "You people." The phrase landed like a slap across the face. Zariah's breath caught. Her throat dried. Around her, passengers shifted. A man in a golf cap muttered to his wife, "Knew it. Always trying something." A girl giggled into her phone, not even hiding her smirk. Zariah's skin burned. Her chest heaved. She hadn't even realized she was stepping back until Jameer was in front of her, voice raised, eyes blazing. "She didn't fake anything," he snapped. "You tore up her ticket because of how she looks. That's discrimination." He lifted his phone to record, but Whitman leaned across the counter and snatched it from his hand. "You want security?" she hissed. "Because I'll call them right now." Zariah stared at the shredded ticket, her father's last gift to her before he passed. She remembered him skipping treatments to save enough to buy her that seat. That thought gripped her chest like a vice, but from that cold grief came heat. "You're wrong," she said, her voice shaking but defiant. "And I'm going to prove it." Whitman smirked and turned her back. "Go ahead. But don't expect to be getting on this flight." Before Zariah could respond, an older woman stepped forward. She wore a cardigan, her silver hair tucked neatly beneath a sun hat. Her voice was quiet but firm. "I saw what happened," she said. "Don't give up, child." "Thank you," Zariah whispered. Her voice cracked. But the tears didn't fall. Jameer leaned close. "I saved the video to the cloud." Before she snatched the phone, Zariah nodded slowly. "This isn't just my fight now." They stepped away from the counter, but the judgment hung heavy around them. So did something else. Resolve. Zariah sat on a bench near the terminal windows. Planes moved across the tarmac like whispers of destiny. She remembered sitting on her porch as a little girl, watching those silver birds in the sky and asking her father, "Why can't we ride in one of those?" One day, Malcolm Mitchell had said, kneeling beside her, "One day, you won't just be in one. You'll be flying it." He never told her he was the founder of Apex Aerotech. He never bragged about the patents or the venture deals. He let her find her own wings. When she was 10, she saw him sketching blueprints at the kitchen table under a single flickering light. She thought it was just freelance work. He was building an empire in the shadows. When her mother was dying, she clutched Zariah's hand and whispered, "Don't stop dreaming, baby. They'll try to tear you down, but you're meant to fly." Now, in this airport terminal, Zariah clung to those words like a lifeline. Jameer's hand rested on hers. "You ready to fight?" "I have to be." With the older woman, Miss Clara, at their side, they marched to the airport manager's office. Inside sat Daniel Hargrove, a man whose posture screamed corporate theater. Beside him stood Karen Whitman, arms folded, chin high, as if daring them to speak. "I'm reporting a racial discrimination incident," Zariah said. Karen scoffed. She had a fake ticket. She started causing a scene. "I did my job." Zariah pointed directly at her. "You tore my ticket without even scanning it. You didn't check the system. You judged me." Hargrove sighed, looking annoyed. "Young lady, if you just apologize, we'll rebook you on the next available coach. Apologize." Jameer's voice rang out. She was publicly humiliated. "I have the video," Jameer added, holding up another phone. "It's already trending. People are watching." A knock. An assistant stepped in. "Sir, there's a crowd forming." "Reporters, too." Karen's face paled. Clara stepped forward. "I witnessed everything." The young lady had a valid business class ticket. She never raised her voice. "That woman did." Hargrove swallowed hard. "Check the system." Minutes later, the assistant returned, eyes wide. Ticket was valid. Business class. Booked under Malcolm Mitchell. Silence. Karen's face collapsed. Hargrove looked like someone had pulled the floor out from under him. "Malcolm Mitchell," he repeated. "As in?" "Yes," Clara said, her voice suddenly loud. "The CEO of Apex Aerotech. Her father." Moments later, a black car rolled to the curb outside. The man who stepped out shifted the atmosphere instantly. Tall, regal, dressed in black. Malcolm Mitchell. He entered the office with calm authority. He didn't shout. "Why was my daughter treated like a criminal?" he asked quietly. Daniel stammered. Karen trembled. "She didn't look like someone who flies business." Malcolm turned to Zariah. "You want to handle this?" Zariah nodded and stepped forward. "I don't want her fired because of who you are," she said. "I want her to admit she was wrong." Karen's face crumpled. "I was wrong," she whispered. "I judged her by appearance." "Then change," Zariah said softly. "For the next girl." Malcolm placed a new ticket in her hand. "This one isn't for the seat. It's for what you stand for." As they returned to the gate, reporters swarmed. Malcolm faced them. "My daughter was judged not for what she did, but how she looked. That ends today. At Apex Aerotech, we are committing to funding scholarships and inclusivity programs across the aviation industry." Then he handed the mic to Zariah. "I didn't fight for a seat," she said. "I fought for dignity. For everyone who's ever been told they don't belong." Applause erupted. 1 week later, Zariah stood on stage at the Global Aviation Summit. No hoodie, no whispers, no torn ticket, just her. A woman with fire in her eyes and a prototype for a low-emission aircraft under her arm. When she finished her presentation, the room stood in thunderous applause. A woman stepped forward. "I'm Dr. Simone Adair. I lead propulsion design at NASA. Zariah, we want you on our team." Zariah couldn't speak. Jameer yelled. Malcolm wept. Clara whispered, "She's flying now." Months passed. Zariah launched a youth aviation program in East Hollow. She opened doors for kids who'd never stepped foot on a runway. One afternoon, as she packed kits for a workshop, someone approached the door. Karen Whitman. She wore no makeup. No smug expression. "I want to help," she said. "Not to erase what I did. To learn." Zariah paused, then handed her a paper airplane. "Start folding." In the back, a young girl raised a camp ticket in the air. "I'm gonna fly one day." "You will," Zariah smiled, because justice wasn't just punishment. It was power rediscovered, dignity reclaimed, and the sky made reachable. And Zariah Mitchell, once told she didn't belong, now soared, leaving behind a sky wide open for others to follow.